he says that nritya, that is dance and theater, they are not very different. They are connected. And in your one of the writings, you have put Abhinavji as Abhinav Guft as a beacon light for the ocean of Natya Shastra. Can you just elaborate and give us some knowledge on this?
He writes, what is the difference between Natya and Nritta? He asks this question and he proves that there is no difference. Ko Vedaha. There is no Veda at all, because he gives examples for the actor. Well, by actor I mean actor of the Sanskrit theatre, the traditional Sanskrit theatre. I don't mean the film actor today.
Character.
The actor was expected to be a dancer, a singer, and he had to speak with his own voice. There was no playback system. Much more demanding. And so, for example, if there is a sequence when Dushyanta is riding the chariot, there is no chariot that is brought on the stage.
Correct.
But what movement will be used is what is called Rathakranta Chari. There is a chari, there is a movement for the whole legs. And if the actor is taking that chari, it will look as though there is a ratha and the ratha is moving. So that inference is there. And this is called Natya Dharmi. It's the theatrical mode of expression. There is, of course, another dharmi, which is Loka Dharmi, which is more realistic. And one thing one has to understand, it's not in one particular page or stanza. Throughout, if you read Abhinav Bharati, you understand the importance of sattva. The mind is so important. Even if the whole body is used as in Nritta, there has to be an involvement of the mind. That is why Nritta is not different from Natya in his theory. And the concept of Nritta changes in later period when Nritta is defined as Bhava Vihinam and Rasa Vihinam by later authorities, which I don't accept. I had questioned the validity of these statements from the medieval authorities because I follow Bharata, I follow Abhinav Gupta. In Tamil, we say if there is a debate on any particular subject, and if someone makes a statement, the opponent would say, oh, is it big Vedavak? Ultimate is the Vedavak. And for us, performing artists, we should remember the Vedavak is Natya Veda. Natya Shastra is also called Natya Veda. It is all, that is because it is Ved. See, Veda has its root in Vid, meaning Jnana. Jnana is different from knowledge. Wisdom is different from knowledge. Shastra implies knowledge, and Veda implies Jnana. Natya Shastra is Natya Shastra and Natya Veda. Because it is something to do with Jnana, Colossus like Abhinav Gupta thought it free to take it up for a deeper study and explanation. And even during Abhinav Gupta's time, Natya Shastra had become very old. It had become really very old, perhaps several centuries or a few thousand years old. Because I am an Indic scholar. I don't believe in the Western complete, Western way of dating our books and our Shastras. Max Muller almost gave a ridiculous dating for Veda. He called it 1500 BC. But I'm not somebody who follows that. In fact, in my book called Natya Shastra and National Unity, I have dealt with the date of Bharata from a very different angle. And I have proved, I think, that Bharata was a contemporary of Valmiki. So you can imagine the time that lapsed between Ramayana and Abhinav Gupta, and what a hazardous task it should have been for him to decipher what is mentioned in the Natya Shastra, and to make it understandable even at that time must have been a very hazardous task. He, of course, mentions a lot of authorities before him who lived before him. He accepts them. Sometimes he contradicts them. And this is where I think his commentary becomes very interesting, because he blatantly criticizes his own contemporary artists also. It is very interesting to see that he has mentioned a type of dance called Dombika.
Dombika.
In that he says it is the Dombika is not representing some character, some other character. The Dombika is the original person who is dancing. Okay. So her movements, the content of the songs that is being sung are quite erotic, voluptuous, and Abhinav Gupta talks of two kinds of phala. The drishta phala, which is the fruit of seeing something, and it's a fruit of enjoyment through the eyes, through the sense of sight. That is drishta phala. There is another level which is adrishta phala. Before that, let me say, Abhinav Gupta says the Dombika is often not even giving drishta phala. It is not even giving that feast to the eyes. And he talks about adrishta phala, where he takes the dance art to a higher level, to the higher consciousness. And he even talks about how when Pushpanjali is offered, no program can start without a Pushpanjali. Purva Ranga is a very long course of worship, which is supposed to be done before any Natya begins. And here he brings in the idea of how the Pindis, the dance by 4 dancers, are of tremendous religious efficacy. We can understand how Bharata says the Purvaranga is called, actually Bharata is quoting Bhagavan Shiva himself. Shiva is said to have told Bharata that Purvaranga is of 2 types. One is the Vedic ritual. The other is Chitra Purvaranga, that Shuddha Purvaranga. And the Chitra Purvaranga has to have Karanas. And Karanas performed by more than one dancer is called Pindi. And these have the same efficacy as produced in a regular Havan. So this is the religious efficacy of Karana, religious efficacy of Nritta. And why do you think, throughout India, from even pre-Abhinav Gupta period, from Lalita Aditya's time, Kashmir has had Devadasi system. I believe Lalita Aditya met Devadasi in a temple. She was dancing and he fell in love with her, and he brought her and made her the queen. She made the Pattamahishi. She was just not one in the harem, but she became the queen of Kashmir. And it was because of, probably because of her, Matrugupta was asked. Matrugupta was the court poet of Lalitaditya, and Matrugupta is asked by Lalitaditya to write a commentary on Natya Shastra. And almost a couple of centuries later, Abhinav Gupta takes up this and enlarges this whole tradition, enlarges the explanation. We don't have Matrugupta's work, of course. The only commentary which is available, thank God, it is available for Natya Shastra today, almost full. Of course, there are some chapters which are missing in Abhinav Bharati also. But what is giving some comfort is Sharang Deva, who was part of the Exodus, who left Kashmir, this is after Abhinav Gupta's time, settled down in South India, and he wrote a very important work, Sangeet Ratnakara. And that Sangeet Ratnakara of mid-13th century is the last work on Sangeeta. That Sangeeta would mean Geeta Vadya Nritta. The triple aspects together is called Sangeeta. Now people don't understand that it has a triple aspect. Sangeeta is normally taken to mean just music, but Geeta is vocal music, Vadya is instrumental music, and Nritta is dance. So Sangeet Ratnakara includes chapters in all these, and whatever is missing in Abhinav Bharati can be definitely taken from Sangeet Ratnakara, because Sangeet Ratnakara is a versification of Abhinav Gupta's prose. So for some chapters where I didn't get Abhinav Gupta's commentary, I used the same Kashmirian tradition, and see how wonderful it is that Kashmirian tradition was made eternal through some of the sculptures in Tamil Nadu.
So
we never thought of today's boundaries of the states. It was one culture under the canopy of spiritualism. Whether it was Kashmiri Shaivism or the Shaiva Siddhanta of Tamil Nadu, you find an extraordinary relationship. I wish some scholar who's a bilingual scholar who knows Tamil very well and also Sanskrit very well can go deeper into this aspect and find the parallels between Kashmiri Shaivism and Shaiva Siddhanta of Tamil. Because Shaiva Siddhantam works are there from 7th century.
Yes.
And this is an extraordinary field where we must get some scholars work on.